Okay, yeah, I gotta watch what we say now.
All right, thank you all. Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is the Building and Planning Committee of the Board of Directors of the Kern Valley Healthcare District. Tuesday, January 26th. And we are called to order.
Is this the 26th?
Today is the 26th, I do believe. Item 2 on the agenda is approval of agenda. Do we have any requests to change the agenda?
I just have a question on it. How do you figure out what goes on the agenda?
Heidi and Tim tell me.
They tell you what to put on there?
That's right.
Well,
And they call
shouldn't the
me.
board have some input on what goes on the agenda?
We have total input. If you want
Okay.
something on there, we can put it on there.
All you gotta do is let Heidi know.
He's jiving you.
Okay,
Yes, absolutely. You're welcome to have anything put on the agenda that falls within the,
Scope of the meeting.
By and large,
of what this meeting's for.
I'm relying on staff to say what needs to be brought to us.
so I would
Take
bring it
action.
to your Heidi.
Me.
Okay.
And if you want
Because
something on
Heidi
this
will
agenda,
do
that's,
whatever she's told.
of course you will. Yeah, this is a board meeting agenda and it's completely up to us.
Right, we're
What
5
appears
board
on.
members on here,
Yeah.
so we should each have an input since,
Absolutely.
okay.
And if
Okay.
there's ever
All right.
something you want on there, let me know and we'll get it on there.
But thank you.
I'll go ahead and move to approve the agenda.
Thank you, John.
I'll second it.
And Gene seconds. And we have to do a roll call vote. So Gene,
Yes,
John,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Catherine,
Yes,
and I'm a yes. Thank you. Okay, item C is public comment. This is this item on the agenda is reserved for people to make comments, members of the public to make comments to this board on items not necessarily appearing on this agenda, but under the jurisdiction of this board. Do we have any members of the public seeking to make comment? Okay, seeing none. Then item D, approval of minutes from November 24th. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes as presented here.
Gene approve or motions?
I'll second.
John second. Fred, your vote?
I read the minutes and I'm good with it, even though I was not at the meeting.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
again, vote.
Thank you. Catherine?
yes,
Gene?
Yes,
John?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Minutes are approved. Item E, master plan project update.
That's me, I guess. In your packet, you have the hospital renovation through December 2020. And I'm just going to go through the summary sheet, and then if there were questions, I can go into some of the other sheets. What we have is the proposed budget down there. You can see 19.68 million. Through December 31st, I'll go down these. We have professional fees already actuals through that period of 747,000, anticipating that 925,000 left. Construction costs, we have 2,059,623. We expect 10,000,003 left. Equipment, we have 155. So 3,969 left. Permits and fees, 285. We have 198 left. Tests and inspections, 34,000. We have 616 left. Project administration, we have 23,000, 177,000 left. And bank financing and accounting charges, 300. We have 159,700 left. That's a total in the project at this point in time of 3.3 million. You can see there's also a note that says KVHD project cost. The majority of this is the amount that we had to pay that CEC is not paying until after 1 year. So that's what kind of that makes up most of that. You can see the CEC loan and you can see the difference there. I was supposed to be 1.9 million, I have 1.5. So the rest of it comes basically from us. So you can see The funding committed at this point is about 3.7 million. What that says to me, if you go down, actually, it's the next page, I believe. Will tell you that we need, at this point in time, and this is just a higher breakdown or more detailed breakdown of what I have through December. If you need to go over those, we can. But my calculations are based upon what we have committed at this point in time, that we need about 7,233,000. As you know, we're trying to get to 5,000,005. So that leaves the remainder for us to pick up. And that's what we have left.
Okay.
Any questions about that?
Yeah, you're counting the new building we acquired as part of construction, apparently.
It's called into question.
It was a part of the total budget, yes.
Yes.
It is part of it. It is being lived.
What's the cost of that in here?
The cost of buying that building.
Oh, 300,000.
No, I know the cost of
450,000.
it, but it's
450,000. I'm
there's a
sorry. Is that
lot of
what you
work to
mean?
be done on it.
Oh, yeah, we
What's the
haven't,
cost of that?
we don't know yet.
Well,
Because we haven't determined the scope.
Where's the money gonna come from if we only need 7 million more for construction? That's a.
Actually, that's not, the new building construction isn't in there.
well,
It's in the $19 million because it was in the budget that we spread over time. It's in there as phase one.
Let
So,
me,
you know, we're gonna be paying as we go along. We put 155 down. So that's the money that's going out.
But this should take some cost to do what we want to do with the building, so.
well, what the decision will need to be made is the renovations that we do to that building, which we don't know the scope of yet.
Right.
Those could either be expensed to operations. I mean, this is a chat decision or a board decision. Will we expense it to operations or will we make it part of this budget? And that hasn't been determined yet because we don't even know what the cost
Or we'll
is.
make it a separate
Why
budget.
why don't we have an idea of what the cost is? It's been 4 months.
Okay, so when you get the church out, then I can go in there and start actually really laying it out, bring floor plans here for approval and start putting costs to the renovation.
You're waiting until the church is out before you look at it?
I can't just go in there.
They're still
They
there.
We
occupy.
can. I mean, like I said, I've got, matter of fact, as soon as I follow up this meeting, I have a conference call with Pastor Valdez. We're going to work all that out to allow us to get in there and start doing some things. We are going to have access to one of the suites, which was Dr. Sawal's suite, right away. I'm just waiting for Scott Kissick to bring me the keys. So if they're not using that space we can start working on right away. And then the others, like I said, I've noticed him that, again, we want about a 60 to 90 day out clause for them to go find someplace else. They are working on finding some modular buildings that they can put up on their property where they can move the church to. So they're in process with that. But we're trying to get together this afternoon where we can kind of get all that worked out so that we can get in there and actually start figuring out what we're going to need to do to get that building up to speed for the things that we're planning to put down there.
Okay, you said planning, and this is sort of a planning meeting.
Yeah.
What do you plan on doing? We're paying $4,000 for that legal building a month for the, what do you call it? What's in there?
Well, it's several programs.
COVID.
Just lost our power here.
Pardon me?
Our power just went out just a second ago.
And I know only paying $750 for the HR building, but are we
You
getting
mean per month?
in there?
Per month, yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Chet, how much money did we get from that Prime project?
From which project?
The prime.
Prime project.
750,000 a year.
None
We got
yet.
750,000 a year for 3 years.
Prime,
Yes.
Prime was
That covers big costs.
750,000 per year for 5 years.
Yeah. So that
The
kind
new
of,
program will start where that one leaves off, and that has a baseline of 750,000
That's a
that we can
floor.
build on top of that.
Well, that's the floor of the first year, let me say it that way.
Right. Right.
Okay, so it may not be
that's
the floor of the second year.
so that's making good money.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we got the manual for the Q, it's called the QIP, it's
But-
quality measures.
But we should have a good picture of what we're doing in finance. Maybe that's why this should go through finance after you decide what you want to do. Chet?
So what are you after, Gene? You want basically a plan for what we're gonna do with that building and how much it's gonna cost?
Yeah,
Is that what
I
you're
want to
asking for?
know what we plan on spending or what we might have to spend. We're making all these decisions. Is it going to cost 10 million, 5 million, 3 million?
Yeah, we don't have the answer to that yet. I think it's a valid
After
question.
4
Bob has
months.
given us an idea of where you want to place
After
things.
4 months, there should be a general
I
idea.
shared with you some tentative floor plans
Yeah.
from our
Yes,
walkthrough.
Yes,
yes,
you did.
yes.
And
No
so
cost.
I had wanted to make those more accurate, meet with the various departments that are going to move and get their acceptance of those floor plans. And at that point, then we'll put in costs for any walls we got to build, any data we got to run and power we may have to run and floor finishes, et cetera. But until we have nailed down that floor plan, I can't even hazard a guess.
So do you anticipate?
But it's not $1 million.
So
No, we planned $200,000. Like I said, over and above, it's in the budget already. And we had an overrun planned on top of that, 15%, I think it was 23%.
the part-
And so
parking
over
lots-
what we planned, the issue is, like I said, we're going to try to use existing office spaces in there where we can. We're going to try to use cubicle spaces like for billing and those kinds of things, so they don't have to build walls. So there shouldn't be a ton of expense down there. But there, like I said, there will be some expense, obviously, to bring in phone systems and to bring in information systems and those kinds of things. So like I said, we will get at that very shortly.
Now, since it's not the hospital itself and it's not subject to
There's an
OSHPA,
OSHPD, right?
we don't have to have Greenball involved in it, right?
Not at all.
Nope.
On the summary, actually, if you look at that same page, that second page, it'll tell you it's got something there called medical fixed equipment. So that's the building and some of the infrastructure. That's not just that building, but basically for that kind of thing, we have 896,000 in the budget. And we've spent 150 right now. That's what we put down. And that's all. So we have plenty,
Yeah.
as far as I can tell, left.
If we put it into this budget, which that'll be a decision that has to be made
Okay.
once we finalize.
I don't have a problem, just so we know generally what we're
What-
doing.
I'm in process of hiring another person right now. And our thought is that we would do the majority of the work down there with my own staff.
Cool.
Not hiring a bunch of
Okay.
contractors.
I just want to see it.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
When you get the keys, will we be able to walk through that building? Because I haven't been inside that building for a long time and I kind of like to see what it looks like now and maybe what your guys' suggestions are.
We'll do that. Yeah, like I said, we're going to have the keys shortly here for Dr. Sawal's suite. So we're going to go in and we'll have access to that. And then, like I said, I will see if I can get the keys from Pastor Valdez so that we can maybe do a walkthrough together one day, just so everybody get an idea of what the building looks like one day when they're closed. So Mark and Bob and I had an opportunity to go down there with Scott Kissick and do a walkthrough before we purchased the building. So, but I think it's probably a good idea that everybody sees just how much space is really in there and how it's laid out. So you get a better sense for when we come and talk to you about what it is we're proposing, you'll understand. Make it much easier for you to understand.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So Bob, what is your time frame for actually having a pretty finalized plan in hand to bring, not finalized, but
Right.
you've met with all the staff, you've identified what the needs are, bring it back to this committee for a final approval. What's your time frame for that?
Well, probably a couple of months because, okay, if we were under the gun, I would do it sooner. I mean,
Right.
I would make time somehow to get it done sooner. The challenge, where we're really at is we don't have to move anybody out of this building for another year.
Right, I know.
So to move them further away when they can stay right here currently doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So it gives us a lot of time to properly develop really good layouts, take our time about deciding what we're going to do and putting together a budget because we're not under the gun. I mean, I'd love to do it next month, but you're going to see some of the stuff I'm dealing with here in the later part of this meeting that is just eating up huge amounts of my time. And so that's why
So
we're not
realistically,
really worried, because we're a year away from really needing to move anybody into that building.
so realistically, for the conversation Gene wants to have, we're probably April to June timeframe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And approximately under 500,000. I mean.
yeah, and I would
Oh, yeah,
expect
yeah, yeah.
two.
Okay, that's just,
But that's just a wild guess at this point, because we haven't defined the scope.
Yeah, thanks, Bob.
Uh-huh.
And so when does escrow close on that building?
That's closed. We own it.
It's closed and we own it. So we're paying for it, but we're not in a hurry to start making changes?
Correct.
Okay, well,
Catherine,
That was a board decision. Let's get the building while the building was available.
Yeah.
And
Catherine,
so forth.
I think we're being flexible because of the church. We
Right.
don't want to boot them out. They've known for about 2 months now that they had to move. And I think it's a little sensitive situation about us just pushing them out quick sooner.
yeah,
than-
no, I agree with that and I totally I understand that. But I also, you know, a couple months is kind of a long time to wait to start doing something.
It's not to say we're gonna.
That's just my
Like I said,
opinion.
I agree wholeheartedly with you. Like I said, that's why at least we can get the one suite where we can start working that out. My plan with him ultimately is to see if I can grab the suite next to it, which is on the end, it's basically a big open space that they use for, they put a kitchen in down there and they do some meals after church and stuff like that. That is probably soft space that they can give up, and that frees up probably about 2 out of the 5 suites, and that we could do a lot with that space in the meantime.
Yeah.
Well, we're also gonna have Dr. Sawal's area, which is right next to that.
That's what
So
I'm saying. That gives us 2
Yeah,
consecutive
exactly.
suites that we can start
Yeah, it
working
gives
with.
us 2/5 of the building to get started
Okay,
on.
Dr. Sawal's office is about 2,000 square feet. And
I
is there-
have
is there-
it all in a file.
Is there
There's
any way
5
possible?
suites in there altogether, and
Okay, so then hers is 1,500 or so.
they're all about the same size.
There are 4 of them are the same size, and the one on the end that's a social hall is a little bit larger.
Okay, is there any way possibly? Apparently, the hospital foundation needs a space where they can call it permanent. They want an address in place,
Why?
a 10 by 10 space. Can we figure up a 10 by 10 space in that building somewhere?
More than likely.
An office? Yeah, we can give them an office probably.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see that as a huge problem.
There's
I
some
think we've
soft-
got plenty of square footage down there.
There's some soft space in the design.
okay, so
Yes.
we could even move it around temporarily, but
Yeah.
we just, Judy's wanting a place that she can call home.
Right. Yeah.
And so we can
No
do that,
Bakersfield.
right?
Oh, yeah, I would think so. We can add them to the list of people going.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Chet, anything more?
No, unless there are more questions.
Okay, thanks. Is there anything to discuss on train? It's on the agenda.
No, I mean, just an update. I've had some conversations with Train. He's wanting me to do a little bit of an audit of our utilities. Train, they got a little upset with the CEC because the CEC says, oh, you're not getting the savings and the engineers screwed up and everything. And Train went back and sat down with all their engineers and completely reviewed the study. And they said, we did not make any mistakes. We actually got all of the energy usage from our propane company and from our electric company. And they said the savings are there. They are just misinterpreting them. So he has asked me, but they can't really have a meeting with CEC because the money's not owed to them.
It's not their
So-
contract, it's ours.
So he has asked me, if when I get some spare time, would be to take a look at all of that and possibly schedule a phone conversation meeting with CEC to maybe disprove what they are saying,
Okay.
which would then possibly release the money a little sooner than a year from the end of the project.
Okay.
But that's the only thing that's transpired since our last meeting.
Bob, one of the other things that we thought was because of the way in which they calculated this, that it was a timing issue because, like I said, we weren't at that time of year where we were using lots of the gas and so forth. And now that we're into the winter months, that maybe now some of those savings will begin to be realized that
Right.
they were counting on, as part of the whole project.
When CEC calculated the usage, it was only electric because we weren't using any propane because we weren't heating.
So they were using 12 months for the same thing?
Yeah.
Basically,
Right.
yeah, okay.
Right. So, we may be able to convince them sooner, but it's going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of my
Now-
time to put
now-
this together.
If we put the Tesla stuff in there, it's gonna make us look even worse.
Maybe, maybe not. And do we have a thing at the end for other?
No.
Okay. Well, I will mention that I had a phone call at 3 minutes to this meeting from the California Energy Commission. They are forwarding me some information. They said there is a grant program out there that is for renewable energy that they said is absolutely a perfect fit for this hospital. And that's all I know.
Now, how's it gonna fit on top of what we're already doing?
Don't know.
Okay.
I just let you know
Two of them
that
already.
call came in. When Tim called me, I was hanging up from that phone call when Tim says, "Are you going to the meeting?" So, and I was already 2 minutes late. So he's emailing me information. I'm going to call him back. I'm going to find out more information about this, but this is something being offered to us by the CEC.
That's cool. That's cool. Very, very good.
Yeah.
Boy, it sure makes me suspect though. It's like, why would
Well,
we?
you pay us the rest of the money for the first one then before we consider the next one.
Depends on how many hundreds of thousands of dollars we get from them.
Well, if we actually get it,
I understand.
they promise it and then don't pay it.
Well, they paid most of it.
I hope it is not Trump money.
Anyway, obviously I will have more of an update on that at our next
Cool.
meeting because
Okay.
I literally got the phone call, 2 minutes before 1 o'clock.
Interesting. Okay. Well, keep us updated on that. The, all the calculations and stuff you were saying that would take a lot of your time. Hasn't Train already done that?
Yes, but I got to get with them and I got to get the information from them that I have to put into a format that is coming from the hospital versus coming from Train.
Okay.
And I have not had time.
Okay.
I've been inundated with problems.
All right. Okay. And then item 3, the hospital phased improvement plan.
Okay, well, where we're at on that is Michael has been back twice and done additional scans.
So
They are
architect.
the architect, I'm sorry. Yes, Greenbow has been here and done scans on 2 occasions. They are finalizing everything with the engineers and they are proceeding with the drawings, which we've approved them to do. So that is in process. So, I mean, it has started. It's not like they're dragging their feet or anything. It is all in the works and moving ahead to meet the timeline that they had given us to have it submitted to OSHPD.
Oh, to get the 2016 codes.
Right. In other words, the construction drawings off to OSHPD, they are in full steam ahead on creating those drawings.
Remind me, when was that submittal date?
Do you remember, Tim, isn't it about 8 months?
What's that?
When Greenbow feels they'll have the drawings ready to submit
Yes.
to OSHPD?
Yes.
So about 8 months from now, roughly.
All right.
Yeah, about a month ago, I was in Tim's office and he was having a conference call with Greenbow. And then it's actually really cool how they do the almost like a 3D module, how to redo the ER. It kind of remind me of the old Tetris game.
Yeah.
A CAD.
Oh,
So they can.
And he has a camera that he moves around the hospital and it scans literally millions of points and then it recreates a 3-dimensional of exactly dimensionally specific and exact everything in that room.
Yeah, it was
That's
really cool.
incredible technology.
I was impressed with
Technology
just
is
one
amazing.
slip of a slide, how it could change the whole dynamic of the ER.
Yeah, he's very competent as an architect. I've worked with a lot of them in 40 years and he's very competent.
Agreed.
Is there any other discussion on the hospital phased improvement plan? Now, this is for Fred and Catherine's benefit. This is our 9+ phase. I forget how many, 11 phases. Basically, the seismic improvements to the hospital, including all the infrastructure upgrades, the pipes, the air conditioning ducts, the water system, the roof, the structural part. This is basically the $15 million project to rebuild the building next door.
Okay, then also.
Because of the, I was gonna say, because of the complexity of this, I really would like an opportunity to maybe set up a separate meeting with both you, Fred, and Catherine, to kind of walk you through that. And anybody else can obviously sit in if they want, but just to catch you up as to what we're doing and how this thing is gonna roll out. And just the difficulties, you know, because trying to stay within the physical confines of the existing building, we end up moving things around, and that's what creates the 11 phases. Because to add a new building onto this is substantially more expensive. So that's, again, was one of the reasons why we bought the other properties, so we could move some departments out to create space to do some of that movement. So, but I would certainly love an opportunity maybe to sit down with Bob and so forth, so we can walk through those phases and the plans and everything else, just to show you what we're talking about. I think it'll make it a lot easier as we go forward.
Tim,
I would appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Also, what's required, what we're doing and what's required. We're doing what we want to do as opposed to what we have to do. What we have to do is about $1 million, right?
Well,
To shore up the emergency room, that's it.
Well,
No, that's not true at all.
to do the seismic upgrade without touching anything else, it would be several million.
Okay, couple million.
But yes,
Not
but that
20
would,
or 30 million.
that would simply stiffen the building.
Yeah, well, it would get us by. We right now,
But-
we're extending, we're making an emergency room twice as big as it was,
Yes.
and we're doing less than we were. So we're spending money to build something that's sort of worthless. It's not gonna, you know, it might be pretty and it might be nicer, but we're using the emergency room less than we were before. So we're
Well-
spending double.
That's not true.
Well, we have had a slight downturn recently in volumes, but that will more than likely come back.
The trend,
Well, it's giving us 2 additional beds to be able to treat more.
yeah, the trend is moving away from the emergency room. Everybody would just as soon be able to treat it differently, and they can treat things different now and more effectively in an urgent care or somewhere.
But there is no urgent care up here.
So we don't need to have a
Tonight.
discussion on
Not
that.
today.
The board's already acted on the
Yeah, okay,
preliminary
okay.
plan.
Well, but he's giving them information, wants
Yeah.
to give them information, and I hope it's not privately. I would like to be there. Tim, did you hear? Tim?
We now have the keys to the Kizik building.
Great. Okay, so when you have your meeting with Catherine and Fred, I would like to be there.
He invited everybody, Gene.
I said everybody can come, yeah.
That's what I heard. Okay. I'm just letting you know when you have it to let me know.
We're gonna have to do a board meeting for that. We can't just have you guys all together.
Yeah, it actually
Right,
has to
it'll have to be a
So
legal board
If you guys
meeting.
want to do it at the next building
Agendized.
and planning meeting, we can
We
add
could
it
do
to the
that.
agenda to go over it again, but otherwise we're looking at another board meeting.
Yeah, that's a good point, Heidi.
Yeah,
Is
Yep.
it over 2 people or over
so more than 2.
more?
You can't have 3 board members meet at the same time about the same thing.
But we could certainly do it in the next building and planning committee meeting next month, go
Yeah.
over that whole plan again.
Right. And it doesn't hurt to refresh our memory as well.
It's beneficial, and yeah, it'll be beneficial for Fred and Catherine. You need that background on what we're actually proposing and why. You know, it's to keep the place operating.
Yeah, we'll
It's
go
not
into,
fluff.
we'll go into all
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And I think, yes, it may be on a downturn right now, but you know, with COVID and everything, everything's on a downturn, but that doesn't mean that we're still not gonna have emergencies. And hopefully, even with a larger ER, that the times improve because they're not stepping over each other, you know, in the smaller rooms and stuff like that. So I think that'd be a plus. And I do thank you for being willing to get Fred and I up to date, even though I've attended the meetings and listened. It doesn't always sink in because I'm not really participating, which is bad on me. But so just
Right,
thank
I
you
get
for
it.
that. But I do look forward
you're
to
welcome.
that.
Like I said, there's been a lot there, and there's been a number of years of effort that's gone on up to this point in time. And like I said, you're right. It's tough to sit in one meeting and absorb all that and understand all of the reasons that it's taken us to get to this point. So, we will spend whatever time you desire, to do that. So,
I found it really helpful to sit down with Bob and Tim and actually go through the plans. Here are the phases. Here's what's really happening. And what kind of struck me between the eyes is we have to keep the hospital up and fully functioning during this construction. And so it ends up being really complicated because of that.
Exactly.
This will end up being one of the most complicated projects I have ever done in 40 years of hospital construction.
Yeah.
Not the largest by any means,
Right.
but
No,
the most
just the
complicated.
complexity because of the moves.
So in other words, you're just not planning on retiring anytime soon?
In my estimation of my age when this project is done, I'll be 71.
Wow.
But you could hold on for till 81, right? In
Probably,
case-
Yeah.
in case
With
it
overruns
slows
and
down.
stuff, it'll be 81.
Yeah, with change orders and overruns and gene changing things, I may never be able to retire.
All right. Any other comments or questions on the hospital phased improvement plan?
I don't have any.
Thank you. All right, then item F, environmental engineering services proposal.
Okay, I'm going to try and make a long story somewhat short, but as you're all aware, we had submitted to the State Water Board a replacement of our leach field in the front parking lot because of the issues we're having with the existing field. So anyway, so that has been in their review. Soils Engineering did the study, did everything, submitted the proposal, and we've been waiting for months. And I have emails going back months of Soils bugging them for approval so we could move forward with that. Well, the people at the Water Board decided to go back in and look at the monitoring that's been required ever since the, I don't know how familiar you are with the lawsuit that was against the hospital from 1998. Okay. Out of that came a plan for improvement to clean up the soils around the hospital related to some metals and various things that had been put into the waste stream. And that was implemented. Actually, there's a letter here I have, it was implemented in like January of 2000. So it went on from 98 to 2000. A whole bunch of entities were here. They sampled soils, they sampled water, they sampled waste streams. They did all sorts of work. Okay, so out of that came a monitoring plan that we were supposed to monitor, which we believed we were doing. My understanding, because this goes way back before my time, we have 9 monitor wells. On the original one, the treatment plant went in, there was 3 monitoring wells. Then after the lawsuit, it was proposed to install 4 more wells. Well, that ended up, and I don't have any documentation of it, that ended up being 7 more monitoring wells, of which so that would be 7 plus 3, so it'd be 11. Oh, I'm sorry, 8 plus 3, 8 plus 3. Anyway, so I was aware of 9 monitor wells, and I have been testing like 50% of 9 monitoring wells because I was told that meets the state's criteria. And I've been told that both by my predecessor, I've been told that by the testing lab that meets the state's criteria, that you randomly select, and you monitor. And so anyway, so what they did in looking at our new leach field, they went back into the outcome of that lawsuit and said, you are not monitoring per our specifications of what we were expecting to see. So I received a notice of violation on January 5. And so we're in violation of the cleanup and abatement order number 94-712 and waste discharge requirements order 500037. So what's come out of this with conversations with 3 gentlemen from the State Water Board and Soils Engineering is that they want over the next 2 quarters, which will be through June of this year, they want us to sample all 11 monitor wells. And they've added the criteria, more stuff that they want tested. So, and I explained to them that I was only aware of 9 monitor wells, which I had found in a drawing. I have it here somewhere. Anyway, and so they said, oh, no, there's 11. And so we had never received this information until last week when they emailed me a drawing, which is this, which shows monitor well 11, which is way up McCrae. I'm sorry, monitor well 10, way up McCrae, and monitor well 11, which is
Lake.
right next to the lake, clear down by the old landing strip. Okay.
Interesting.
So, so I spent hours and hours and hours last week doing aerial photographs, satellite views, and walking the areas, unable to locate them. Soils engineering came up this morning, and I spent 2.5 hours with him this morning, and we found number 10 up there. It was buried under the dirt. The scrapers had scraped the top off of it, and it was covered with dirt, and we luckily found it with a metal detector. We spent over an hour down on the lake bed, and were unable to locate that one. But anyway, this all rolls into, they're expecting to see in the first quarter a much larger study of all these monitor wells, including a gradient study from soils engineering. So there's a compliance evaluation report that they're requesting in June, which means that soils engineering is going to take all the information from all this additional testing, put it all into a study and submit it to prove that we are in compliance with the original findings or the original expected reduction of metals, et cetera. And so there's a long list of metals and various things that they want attached in these files. And anyway, it's way more than I can do. It requires engineers. They have to do the depth of groundwaters, and they have to do a study of the flows and the direction of the water underground and all this stuff that is way beyond my ability. So this proposal from Soils Engineering, if you look on the second page, is yours the one that totals 15.5?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to make sure you had the right one in there. Yeah, they had one that was for more, but that was some other billing related to the out front. And so I had them remove that. So what this is the $3,000 is to review all of the samples that are taken, gather all the data together. And this is for a year. Now, then the preparation of quarterly groundwater monitoring reports. It's $1,500 a quarter times 5. The reason it's times 5 is they helped me this last quarter. If we didn't approve this, they would have to eat that $1,500. But, you know, they put it in here because they helped me put together the last one that we just submitted last week. Because I submitted in January for October, November, December. And then the compliance evaluation, which is due in June, is the 5,000. So it's an estimated total of 15.5. There will be some additional costs related to it'll probably be 4 days total, 2 days in the first quarter and 2 days in the second quarter, for their truck to come up and 2 guys to pull all the samples that are now being required. That's not in this proposal. This is just the engineering side of it. The actual physical taking samples, I could have BC Labs do it, who has done it in the last quarters, but in discussions and going through all the new criteria, BC Labs is not really comfortable with them taking the samples. They will analyze the samples, but so because BC Labs was not comfortable in, and I don't have a cost yet, but it's going to be 2 guys in a truck for 2 days in the first quarter and 2 guys in the truck, you know, which, you know, can be an operational cost as far as I'm concerned, because we do it every quarter and have for the 5 years I've been here.
It's not something
It's a
we can do
purchase service.
ourselves.
Yes. No.
It's not just a matter of dipping a jar.
Well,
down
the water's 85 feet down, and you got to pull out X amount of gallons of water that has to be pulled out with a special device and dumped, and then they have to pull it up, and then you gotta measure the temperature and the EC and all these things on the tailgate of the truck. Then it goes into bottles, and the bottles go to the testing laboratory and get tested for all these metals and various things and total dissolved solids and all the things that they're asking for.
Okay.
Total coliform.
The one at the lake that you never found, do we need to
Don't know yet. I mean, like I said, we were looking for it this morning, and I looked for it for 2 days last week. And then we looked for it
but
with
if
them.
you can't find it, can you re-dig it? I mean, re-drill it, whatever?
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to let the board know that we're unable to locate that one. Now, there's a couple of choices. I discussed it with this guy from Soils. We could hire a backhoe operator, and we've got it narrowed down to an area about 50 by 50. And we could go down there with a backhoe, and we could dig down about 12 inches, and we could scratch the soil back about 12 inches and see if we could locate it. The only reason we found the one up here that had been wiped out by a grader was because there was a padlock on the wellhead, and the metal detector picked up the padlock down about that far under the ground.
They're plastic.
Because the rest of it's plastic. So you can't detect it with anything. So we may be able to scratch and find it. Well, what we're gonna obviously have a conversation with the guys at the water board saying, more than likely that one was just drilled and sampled. Okay, it was sampled in 2000, and I have a copy of the report here. I'll be glad to show you. All I got to do is find which sheet it is. Believe it or not, this is the official report that was done and submitted to the water board in 2000, handwritten on a piece of paper with a pen.
Chet, did you do that when you were with Pam? No.
And as you notice here, monitor well 11 was found to be dry. So they dropped the thing down into the bottom, and it hit the bottom, and there was no water. So
How far is at the lake? It should be less.
well, you would think so, but I don't know the depth of that well, because again, this report, okay, my current reports show the depth of groundwater and et cetera, and I know the depths of the wells, the 9 that I have. This 11th one, I don't know how deep it is. I can find no records of the drilling process. All I can say is that in January 2004, it was dry. We're gonna try and get the water board to just say, don't worry about that one. That one and the one way up the street were probably put in to take a sample in an area with no construction around, no buildings, as sort of a monitoring what the existing conditions away from all buildings are. It would be my guess, and we're hoping they will accept the one up there. Don't know yet, because all that happened as of this morning.
Okay, are you ready for motion to approve what you're requesting?
Yes.
Okay, can I make a motion that we approve what he's requesting?
Yeah, which is the soils engineering, putting together the study. This covers a year, but it covers the really intense one for this first 6 months of the year.
All right, so we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll gladly second.
Thank you, Fred. Any more discussion or questions on this motion?
I have a question. Is there not any survey markers or anywhere in the county that would show where that is? Or would it be
No.
something we should hire a surveyor to find instead of spending, several hours, several days looking for it?
Here's the problem. I'm unaware of any documentation from the well drilling company. I can't even find who the well drilling company was that installed those back in somewhere between 99 and 2000. This is a map that was forwarded to me by.
Put it closer, Bob.
By the board, or by the state water board. And the missing monitor well down by the lake is this circled dot right there. That's and look real close. There's dotted lines for the old landing strip. And there is a fence line down there behind True Value and behind the propane that shows on here. But this is all I've got. So by scaling off this, because the scale is shown here on this map, I went down there with a measuring wheel and I measured it out. And even the guy, the surveyor from Soils Engineering says, you're right on. He says, you're within 20 feet. But unfortunately, the metal detector did not pick up anything.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I'm not aware of any records. The well driller And we have none at the hospital. I've gone through everything page by page, hundreds and hundreds of pages of information from this. I would love to be able to tell you yes, because but see,
Well,
the county didn't drill it.
I wonder, how close is it to True Value, behind True Value?
It's you know, okay, if you look at True Value, there's a fence on the right-hand side. It's
Right,
their parking lot fence.
right?
Look down that fence and it goes way out, almost halfway to the water of the lake. It's clear down.
I'm just thinking sometimes people, I mean, you could maybe get by with asking Steve, hey, do you remember when this was happened? Because maybe he does, you know, it's just an option.
Well, I don't have a problem with asking Steve. My problem is that the name, I'm trying to research the name that is on that handwritten page. And I don't know if the guy's still alive, but I'm trying to find out.
I wonder if it was Paiute Pumping. They did a lot at that time.
I have no idea.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, this report was put together by an R. Crudson. And I've got to call some companies and find out if that last name rings a bell with anybody and see if the guy's still alive. Because obviously he did monitor well 11. He might be able to walk out there and say, well, it's right. Well, there's no sign of it.
And is that CRUDSON? Crudson?
Yes.
Okay.
CREWDSON, and his first initial is R.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not a longtime person here, so then somebody may know that name.
Yeah.
I don't.
Bob Bibby might know. Right, Tim?
No, he was on the board back then. He might know.
Yeah.
Or maybe.
Now, where they specifically drilled the point, most likely not, you know. You might remember the company, then that's a possibility.
I am absolutely open to any help any of you can give me.
I don't think anybody's gonna be able to go and say, oh, it's right here, let me show you.
Right.
Yeah.
Except maybe this guy, R. Crudson. I don't
It's
know.
like the one up the street. I mean, it was completely buried. I mean, we found that by luck.
Yeah, because the guy who doing our sampling, he told me, well, there's one up the road a ways. He says, but it got lost.
Wow.
Is this being prompted by someone like from 2000 that complained originally? Are they
No, it is being brought into question by three gentlemen at the State Water Board who have been involved with reviewing the plans for our leach field. And they go, well, let's see if they're in compliance with their original requirements. And so they went through all of years and years. I mean, they're the ones that came up with this sheet from 2004 and saying that was the last time that was the only time we show monitor wells 10 and 11 having been submitted.
But with what you've got now, the way we are, we should be in good shape, right?
I believe so.
So
Yes.
I was just gonna say, so I just Googled, there is a Robert Crudson who is a geology professor at Cal State Bakersfield who does water resource management and hydraulic and water resource.
And that is the entity that put together the whole proposal.
Okay.
So we can reach out to them.
He's at Cal State Bakersfield.
So he is still there.
There you
Great.
go.
That's perfect.
Nice
Thank you.
work, John.
I will reach out to them.
Got that scavenger hunt done in.
Yeah, no time at all.
You got the treasure map right there.
Yes. And so if we can get him up here, he might be able to, because his name is on that handwritten document.
Okay, so
Bring
we
us the
have
lightning rod.
a motion and a second. Any more questions or discussion on the soils engineering matter? Okay, then Catherine, your vote.
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Jean,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
I'm a yes.
So, there's, before we move on, there's another little wrinkle. I got another little letter from the state. You gotta love them. There's a whole new program that I have to be in compliance with by July on how we handle the salts out of all of our
From our wastewater?
wastewaters.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a brand new program coming out. Right here's the notice that I got on, well, anyway, it was shipped out on January 5.
That's not on the agenda.
I know. I'm just saying there's another thing coming down the pipe.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's why it takes so long to get stuff done.
Maybe in your conversations with soils engineering, you can fill them out for what it's gonna take to comply with that.
I already have talked to him.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right.
If you want to put it on the board agenda, we can certainly do that for next week.
I'll determine if there's, what I have to do is I have to go online and I have to sign us all up, and then I have to choose our methodologies. And until I do that, I really don't have, and I just got this a few days ago.
Okay.
Well, we can't take action on it, but
Well,
appreciate the
right.
heads up.
We don't have a lot of salt in the hospital because they always tell you, don't eat salt. You shouldn't have a problem.
There you go.
It's the water softeners.
That's where we get hit.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Item G, electrical service upgrade, notice of additional services. So what's going on
Okay,
here, Rob?
what's going on with that is, remember, I think about 2 meetings ago, we brought a proposal from Greenbow, but it wasn't the full-blown contract. There wasn't time, so all we had was a little spreadsheet that says, if we do the generators separately, it's going to deduct this amount out of the master plan project, and it was going to add this amount from each of the engineers with a total add to the cost, but it deducted from the master project. And so this is the actual contract that needs to be signed to move forward. Now, we have not moved forward yet. Michael, our architect, has had discussions with the electrical engineer on how they are going to propose to do this, but they had no work has proceeded. And I actually have them scheduled, the electrical engineers scheduled to be here February 3rd and 4th to do their initial walk around and make decisions and take measurements and a whole lot of things if this is approved.
Well, the agreement was approved, I believe, by the board. You
Yeah.
just wanted to see the contract, that's all.
Yes, yeah, you folks approved the dollar amount to separate the generator project to go first, but we didn't have the actual contract.
For the architect.
Dollar amounts in this contract are the same as.
130,650.
Yeah, it's the same as what was proposed two meetings ago.
So do we need a motion to?
No.
No. Okay.
I think you already approved it, so it was really more of a formality just to bring the
Okay,
contract.
okay.
Yeah, so you could review the actual contract and if there was any issues.
So it's $1,100,000 for the design work for the generator? Is that what that's telling us?
No,
No, that's the whole thing.
Matter of fact, in second thought, Gene, that would be great if you guys would go ahead and just approve this. That way we'll go ahead and get it signed and get this thing started.
this is the total fee for electrical service upgrade, the 130,000. This is the master project.
Okay, all right.
And there's deducts from this and adds that total
They
anyway.
come to the 130,000. Thank you, Bob.
I mean, it's very confusing sometimes.
It is,
It is.
it is confusing.
I'm looking right at it and going,
Bob said we should go ahead and do a motion just to be safe.
Yeah, I think it's a good day just to have that.
Okay, it doesn't seem like a problem, so can I, or
Please.
can somebody else make a
Go ahead,
motion?
Gene. It's on you.
Okay, I make a motion, we do it.
All right.
Approve it.
I'll second it.
Yeah, so this is just giving Tim approval to sign this AIA document, which was already approved in the previous meeting as far as the dollar amounts.
Okay, so Gene motions, John seconds. Any other discussion on this matter?
No, I'm
Okay.
good.
Gene, your vote.
Yes,
John,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Catherine,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay, that concludes our agenda. Any other comments before we adjourn? Not that we can have much of a discussion, but
you should make things easier, Bob.
I sure am trying, but it's just not working.
You-
This morning I walk in and we, because I'm replacing that hot water heater that was approved. And so I've got the old one torn out and I'm putting the new one in. Walk in this morning, no hot water. The one we're running on with no backup died.
no.
And,
Mad scramble this
and we were
morning.
scared about
All
that
right,
too.
all
Oh,
right,
yeah, it
gang.
concerns me.
Okay,
We
I'd
are,
Want to share about the propane thing up there as well?
like to make
Oh, yeah.
one more motion.
well, we can't make a
Since he's so
motion,
bu-
but
Okay, since he's so busy and he's wore out, can we put in the budget for vitamins for him?
I need some.
all right, gang, we'll see you next week. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Turns out
you.
There's a little potentiometer in the controls.
Catherine, in the morning at 9 o'clock.
Is that the one?
All right.